I jumped into the corporate world with both feet. And I had to work hard to prove myself as a former volunteer. Few people took me seriously.
I am still an educator, and I am still very involved in all the early childhood organizations that serve as advocates for young children. And I think being vice mayor and being an advocate, it's one and the same.
I knew business was the way to go, and at the time that I decided business, I didn't have a clue about HR. But once I had that exposure to HR, I said, this is it. This is where I need to be.
I got the chance to bring women's issues and the environment together, and it was all around the issue of environmental justice. It was really one of the most gratifying things I've ever been able to do.
I didn't intend to teach at all. And then once I started teaching, I didn't intend to stay. But as you see, I have stayed.
The whole idea of being part of this grand old institution based on the democratic ideal of the informed citizenry and all the things that we grow up thinking about. Well, as a librarian, as a public librarian, you contribute to that every day.
I was born and raised in Chicago. There were 9 kids in a basement apartment, 2 bedrooms. There was always laughter in the house. To me, life was wonderful.
When I was a young child, I had the most wonderful life. I was surrounded by aunts and uncles and grandparents, and everything was family.
In Nashville, I had a huge family, 20 first cousins, and many of them lived on the same street. It was very, very loving and assuring. I don't think I could have asked for a better start.
I come from a family of 4 girls, no boys, and I think my father was just a little disappointed, so he kind of raised us all as if we were boys and were going to be the head of the household.
One of the things I particularly remember is going downtown with my father to look at his business. So I knew early on I wanted to do something. I wanted to be in business. I wanted to work too.
My mother was a single parent, and so I was beginning to see what that meant to support a family in a very male-dominated world. At that point, I was beginning to realize that as a female, there were some things that I could do and some things that maybe I couldn't do, or that didn't seem to be open to me.
I did have that sense of I want to do it and do it well, and just an uneasy feeling that maybe there wasn't going to be a level playing field.
My mother developed cancer and died at age 41. So she left behind to grieve my father and 10 children. I had to take responsibility for myself. So I set some very basic goals for myself: to finish high school, be childless, and single at age 21.
My teen years were in the early 60s. When we would go to the city to shop, there would be the Woolworth's department store, and we couldn't eat at the counter. I always felt that that was unjust, and so I guess I developed a sense of wanting to be fair and do right by other people.
My high school years really were a prelude. I was always being elected to office. I was a good student. I was queen of the junior prom, for heaven's sakes. And I remember as I grew older that I was positive that a station wagon with 4 children and a dog was not in my future.
You know, in that era, in the 60s, The role of the female was changing every day. I remember so well on the news some of the feminists and thinking the moo-moos and the no makeup and no curls were not for me. No part of that. But when they started talking about equal pay for women and men in the same job, and I looked at my mother, who was supporting her family just like males support their families, that made great sense to me.
I really wanted to be involved in early childhood education, but at that time you couldn't get a degree in early childhood education. You had to go through the home economics departments. Times have changed. You know, more women are working. It's more accepted that children are going to be in early childhood programs, but a lot hasn't changed yet. So I feel compelled to still be involved because there's still a lot of work to be done.
Girls Inc. at the YWCA gave me the freedom to be myself, strong, smart, and bold.
One of the major doors that you want to be open for everyone is the freedom to be and grow and become the best that you can be.
What freedom means to me is the opportunity to pursue whatever I want to pursue.
The Y particularly works with young women so that they have the feeling that they aren't trapped.
When I think about freedom for me, I have the freedom to do things that possibly women in other countries don't have.
I think of not only our freedoms, but the freedoms that we provide for the people around us.
Ultimately, when a person can just be herself, that's the ultimate freedom.
The YWCA Domestic Violence Crisis Line was my lifeline to peace and safety.
To know that you're contributing something that makes somebody happy, that enriches them in some way, is a marvelous way to feel a great peace with yourself.
If you are a peaceful person and you bring peace to the table, then peace will come back to you.
In the household of 10 children, there was little drama in our house. There was much more laughter than drama. So I always look for the laughter, I look for the peace.
You really can reach consensus without having to be confrontational. And that goes back to not always having to be right.
The YWCA GED classes helped me earn my diploma and the dignity I wanted.
Dignity is that respect that you give to yourself that we generally reserve for famous people or people of honor. We need to do that same thing for ourselves.
The strength to have that internal confidence to say and do and be what you think is right for you, right for the people you might impact.
Not trying to be somebody that somebody tells you should be or be somebody that means nothing to you, but to just be yourself with great confidence.
You see the other person, you find the value in the other person, you may not agree with the other person, but they deserve the same dignity and respect that you want for yourself.
Once you have dignity, then you are free to take risks, to try things that are out of your comfort zone, because it's okay. You can fail and you can come back and try again.
I never had a plan. I just tried to listen and tried to act and tried to be helpful and make a contribution in different ways, and each thing ends up building on itself. I didn't know I could head a part of a national presidential campaign. I had no idea I could survive as the first woman in a major law firm in Nashville.
I always felt that there was something more that I want wanted out of life. And as I got older, I began to sense it more. I did something that I never imagined that I would do, and that was start a business.
And I made a business out of running my household and raising my children. And then when they were gone, I said, okay, my turn. And I came to the YW and took a career development class. One of my assignments was to go out and interview for a job. Well, I did, and I got it.
As you progress, you realize that there are lots of things that impact what you can and you cannot do. So that's when I started to get more and more involved in the public policy arena as an advocate for changes that would ensure the best possible setting for all children.
One of the most important things to me is knowing that I have choices, that there are many ways to solve a problem, there are many paths you can take to success. So I've got this fabulous job of guiding this institution, very much of a changing institution in today's world.
I don't know how much more time I have, but I want to spend that time helping as many people as I possibly can help. I want to be able to look back and see that some lives have been changed, some lives have been made better than they were because of something that perhaps I said or that I was able to do.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to this year's honorees.
You inspire us all.
Inspire us all.
You inspire us all.